cast of characters. Gabriel Zere, Eritrean, in his late 30s or early 40s. He wears a checkered yellow and green shirt, long sleeves, rolled up at the elbow, khaki slacks, and black walking shoes. Orlando Alberti, Caucasian, tall, mid to late 60s or 70s, blind, wears sunglasses in spite of the time of day, black dress shoes, light eggshell slacks, black belt, and a dressed long-sleeved dark blue shirt. In his left hand, he holds a white and red cane. The setting is a storage room in back of a convenience store. The storage room is furnished with several racks where boxes of packaged food are kept. Large cans sit on top of the shelves. A worker's apron hangs from the frame of one of the racks, next to a broomstick, a bucket, and a mop standing on the handle end. This is obviously the back of a small grocery or convenience store. An interior door leads to what should be the store proper. Half of the racks hold folded men's shirts and slacks, half a dozen of black rolled-up socks, undershirts, and white boxer shorts. Off to the side is an army cot with a pillow and 2 blankets, a pair of pajamas folded on the pillow. Underneath the cot is a pair of tan-colored men's slippers. In the center of the room, almost directly under the bare bulb, is a folding metal chair next to a stack of 3 boxes that evidently serve as a sort of desk and dining table. A stack of 3 books and several airmail envelopes sit on a corner, and a plate, drinking glass, and tablespoon sit at the opposite end. Next to the plate is a 7 by 5 inch framed photograph. A large metallic door opens to the outside stage right. Next to the door, downstage, is an old wooden chair painted black. It is evening, sometime in 2018, in the United States. When the curtain rises, lights are off. It is dark outside. A car engine can be heard approaching. Its headlights intensify as the car comes nearer and can be seen through the cracks around what should be a door and the pulled shade on a window stage right. A vague outline of the contents of the storage room is discernible in the dark.
Initially, both Gabriel and Orlando
Here where? Is this my house? It does not look like it.
No, but do not worry. Do not worry, it's all right.
No, it is not all right. This is not where I asked you to take me. Where are we?
Trust me, it is okay. Come with me.
No, tell me where I am.
Please, sir, do not make this more difficult. You will be all right on my word, I promise. Here, come with me. Come on, hold my arm.
Get your hands off me. Stop it. Take me home now.
Look, sir, these are your alternatives. Either you come with me or I will leave you here by yourself.
Oh, Jesus. What are you going to do to me?
I'm not going to do anything bad to you, sir. I just need to talk to you about something. Come on, take my arm and come with me. Come on. Come on.
You have trapped me into this. You are taking advantage of my disability. Please, take me where you were supposed to. I will call someone and...
I would not advise it, sir.
Hey, give me back my phone.
Okay, sir, I have been patient. Now you need to heed my words and come with me or suffer the consequences.
What is this place? Where are we? Gabriel pulls Orlando toward the chair and guides him to sit, but Orlando is reluctant.
I don't want to sit. I want to leave wherever this is. Please, take me where you were supposed to.
Do not worry, Mr. Alberti. Just sit.
How do you know my name?
I will explain that presently. In the meantime, I need you to sit down.
As if I had a choice. You have all the power here. I don't trust you. I hope this won't take long. What is this? Some kind of storeroom, a warehouse?
I thought you were blind. Did you smell anything to tell you what this is?
It would be ridiculous. I can see some. It takes me a while to focus. My field of vision is much reduced, and what I see is somewhat blurry. I'm not totally blind.
I'm sorry, sir. I cannot imagine what that would be like. We are in a storeroom, in the back of a convenience store.
How do you have access to it?
I sleep here.
This sounds worse yet. Not that it's any of my business, but why do you live in a storeroom?
Perhaps that will become clear in a while. Do not worry about that right now.
You said we need to talk. Talk! Let's get this over with.
You do not remember me.
Why should I?
I have picked you up before.
You and dozens of drivers like you. I don't waste visual effort in figuring out who any of you are.
That is obvious. About 2 months ago, I picked you up downtown.
Is that supposed to jog my memory? I go there often.
It was late on a Friday afternoon.
It still doesn't mean anything. Wait, did I stiff you out of a tip? Under-tip you? Because if that's it...
That day you did, but that is not the point. You are usually pretty good about tipping. Neither today nor that other time have been the only occasions I have had to drive you.
And what the hell is the problem? Get to it. Christ's sakes!
Very well, Mr. Alberti. Let me refresh your memory.
Gabriel pulls out a wallet from his back pocket and takes out a folded sheet of paper that he will snap open and start to read from.
I am sure you will recognize this. Dear manager, I am a regular fare for your taxi cab company. 3 days ago, I rode a cab of yours. I was picked up on Taylor and Sumter downtown. I told the driver I could direct him so he wouldn't have to use his GPS once we got onto Brown River Road. Those devices are not always reliable.
Driver 35! You are driver 35!
Yes, sir. That is who I am. And this is the letter you wrote to complain about my service. I am sure I do not have to read it to you, but I'm going to anyway so I can address the points you made.
Why did they send you over to pick me up tonight? I specifically asked the dispatcher that driver 35 not to pick me up.
Sometimes the dispatcher gets confused.
Shit. Look, you don't need to read it. Just tell me what you want and you can take me home.
Oh, no, Mr. Alberti. You see, people write these letters cowardly and...
Cowardly! What else could I do? As I recall, you were hostile and set on your attitude. What if I didn't pay you? I had a walker in the truck. It was after I had leg surgery. I was coming back from physical therapy. You would have driven off with my walker and left me there to walk up my driveway.
You are unreasonable. The meter indicates...
The meter was wrong! Actually, you were wrong. You were taking advantage of my disability.
I would never do something like
You
that.
scammed me.
Yes, that is what you claim between the lines in this letter. We are going to set the record straight tonight if you let me read this to you, sir.
You know what you're doing is a federal offense.
I am not going to kill you.
You've kidnapped me.
I am sorry, sir, that I have not tied you up or blindfolded you. I do not even have a weapon of any sort, sir. Actually, you are free to go if you want to. That door is not locked.
Oh, don't be cynical. You think such technicalities are going to matter? At the very least, this is false imprisonment. When it comes right down to it, this is nothing but kidnapping. And that's been a federal crime since the Lindbergh days. You don't seem to have a good grasp of our law.
Oh, I know your laws. I know enough of your laws to know how slanted they can be when they are applied selectively. I read the newspapers and listen to NPR.
Then you should know the FBI is going to become involved as soon as I call 911 to report this when I get home.
Mr. Alberti, I know you can do that. And by the way, this is how I found out your name. From your letter. I guess I could have just come to your house unannounced, but you probably would not have received me or used that stand your ground law to shoot me. About the FBI, I am hoping you will not do that. You see, when we are done, I intend to reimburse you the $14 you paid me that night and take you straight home. I know the way, you know. All I need is a chance to go over what you wrote and state my point of view. That's all. Give me that opportunity.
How can I give you the opportunity you already forced me into? Again, I state the obvious. What am I going to do? Start screaming? In this convenience store neighborhood, people are probably deaf to that.
The driver said he would follow the GPS, but I did not direct him. Although I am legally blind, I have lived long enough in this city to know where vehicles are going by the turns they take. I could tell from the first turn the driver took that he was headed in the wrong direction.
You were, too. You were headed north instead of staying west. And it's true. I could tell from the turns you were taking. I used to drive all over this town when I could still see well enough to drive. I'm not a tourist here. I live here. 24 years now, I've lived here.
When I pointed out he was going the wrong way, the driver said the GPS had directed him to go there 2 blocks before, and I had not said anything, as if I were expected to pay attention to the discount store GPS. He continued to head in the wrong direction because he was already in the opposite lane and could not adjust his direction. Then he turned on the side street and had to wait until someone gave him a chance to get back on the correct street.
That is precisely what you did. You sat there for well over 15 minutes.
How can you tell so accurately?
If you had paid attention to the other sounds in the car, you would have heard this.
Orlando brings up his wrist and presses a button on his watch, which tells the time.
The time is 7:45 p.m.
I had pressed the button when you turned on the side street, and again, when you finally got where you were supposed to. 15 minutes. That's how long you sat there with the meter.
I could not turn!
If you had stayed where you were supposed to, you wouldn't have had to sit there waiting for the charity of others to let you in.
By then, traffic had become heavy, and a distance that usually takes no more than 10 minutes took 25. When we arrived at my house, I could tell what the meter's digital readout showed.
$14.
A trip for which I usually pay between $8 and $9.50, depending on traffic, came to $14. I asked the driver how much I owed him, hoping he would adjust the fare according to the mistake. He quoted the meter, and I told him that was because he had gone the wrong way. I didn't go the wrong way, he yelled, and added it was because of traffic.
I hope you don't mean to say I lied or exaggerated. That is exactly what happened.
I repeated that it was much more than the trip was supposed to cost, and he came back with the same ridiculous excuse. I was afraid he would drive off with my walker, paid him and asked him to park the trunk rather than sitting there arguing over his claim.
Now I'm curious to know exactly what your side of the story is.
I called the dispatcher and asked that whoever had picked me up on Tele and Sumter never again be sent for me if I ever again called your company for a cab.
And I'll have you know today was the first time since then I have called your company for a cab. I switched over to Woodland Cab Company. Unfortunately, this afternoon they were short of drivers. They didn't want to stand out there waiting, so I took my chances. I never suspected the dispatcher would send you. I specifically...
Yes, sir. You have said it already. Not driver 35, the boogeyman. I do have a name even if it does not matter to you. It is Cabral. Cabral Zaret.
Oh, good. Now I have a name to go with the driver number, and a definite description to give the federal district attorney. Okay, so now you've read my letter back to me. You've had your fun, or whatever intention you had, other than frightening me and showing me the power a cab driver has over a handicapped person. And we can all go home.
We are not done, Mr. Alberti.
You do realize I'm expected home. I don't live alone. Someone will wonder where I am. Since you turned off my phone, they will be doubly concerned. Cell phones do have GPS technology. They will call the cab company. The cab company will locate the cab. Someone will come to look. Then I won't be able to protect you from law enforcement. There will be no plausible explanation for my being here with you.
You allow me, sir. We will not be here long enough for anyone to worry about your absence.
That's your take. I wonder whether you realize what it will look like when the police find a hostage being held by a foreign dark man with a funny accent in a storeroom, behind a convenience store. Won't someone from the store come in? Perhaps to get some rancid wieners to your rotisserie?
The store is closed. My good friend ran it. He has been... His work visa was revoked last week. He is hiding for fear he will be sent back to Honduras.
In that case, I suppose I'm even more at your mercy here. Hey, if visas are being revoked, what are the chances yours could be also? This here is not going to help you if that's the case.
I thought of that, Mr. Alberti. You think you are at my mercy. It is the other way around. You could make trouble for me. This is not a matter of work permits, but of compassion and dignity.
Dignity? Oh, that sounds cynical to me. That you victimized me, and now you are making protestations of wounded pride? I don't know where you come from, but in this country, in this culture, your reasoning would be faulty.
Eritrea.
What?
Eritrea is where I was born. Most people here have never heard of it, much less know where it is. You see, Eritrea is a country.
In the Horn of Africa, north of Ethiopia, and on the banks of the Red Sea.
Oh, I see. You do know of Eritrea. Eritrea.
I know of it, yes. A former Italian colony, then under British rule before becoming federated with Ethiopia. We're not all ignorant.
Pardon me, sir. I am not used to people knowing it. You Americans.
What exactly does that mean? This business of you Americans. How could you be so sure I'm one of those Americans you refer to with such veiled disdain?
You live here.
So you?
You speak English like Americans.
I've been here long enough.
You are white.
Not everyone would call me that. I'm lighter than you, but not exactly of Icelandic stock.
Where are you from, then?
I'm American. And not American in the sense you mean. American is everyone born in this hemisphere between south of the North Pole and north of the South Pole. My father was a Spaniard, my mother is Puerto Rican, and that's where I was born, in Puerto Rico.
Oh, I know of Puerto Rican, but I do not know where your country is.
Many Americans don't know either. It's in the Caribbean Sea, between that sea and the Atlantic Ocean. I have been in the mainland of the United States since I was a teenager.
Oh, did you need a green card, a work visa?
Puerto Ricans are citizens of the United States.
Oh, but not one of the 50 states. But it is as Eritrea was since the 1920s a colony. We were not Italian citizens, we were just colonials.
Yes, colonial citizens, I guess you could say. Puerto Rico is a colony with a fancy name. The residents of the United States Virgin Islands are also citizens. Those are even bigger colonials, but they don't mind as long as the United States supports them. Same with American Samoa out in the Pacific Ocean, and Guam, and the Northern Mariana Islands. The status of Puerto Rico is none of my business any longer. I don't live there, and I don't intend to live there. I returned for a few years after I had lived and worked in the mainland, and I have lived to regret it. I have not returned in 40 years. Even my last will states that no one is to take me there for a burial. I don't even want my ashes to blow in that wind. Gabriel, did I pronounce that right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Gabriel, we're getting off track. Let's finish this up.
I'm sorry, sir. I do not want to make you uncomfortable.
A day late, $1 short.
I am sorry, sir. A day later.
It means that it's too late for that concern of yours. I've been uncomfortable since you opened the cab door.
I want to ask you something.
Will it help me get out of here faster?
Yes, sir. This I do not understand. I see that you do not like Puerto Rico very much, but you did not have to come here as an immigrant. You already had citizenship. Why did you leave after you had returned as an adult?
I fled political persecution.
On United States territory. I thought that only happened in places like Cuba and China and Eritrea.
It's not the same type of persecution. Everything in Puerto Rico is politicized. Partisan, that is. Getting a job, keeping a job, whether your neighbors will talk to you, which of your colleagues will address you and get along with you. It all depends on the party you belong to and which party gets a governor elected. When another political party rises to power, no matter how good you are at your public service job, you're pushed out or put in a corner so that party hacks can take your job. Why is that so funny to you?
Pardon me, sir. I guess what is a hack for one political party could be an outstanding leader to another. It depends on your point of view.
In my case, I was an outstanding public servant. I was replaced by the husband of the niece of the university chancellor. My replacement had no clue about what the job consisted of. His only credentials were that the vote he had cast for the same party that dropped a new chancellor in our university like a bomb without a fuse. That is typical of Puerto Rico. It's a brand of political persecution. It yields a lot of mediocrity.
Oh, that sounds like something that would happen in Djibouti.
My own sister benefits from that system. If you are not in favor of the relationship of Puerto Rico with the United States, you're branded a communist, a troublemaker. We had a governor who entrapped 2 young men and ordered their murder trying to prove Puerto Rico was at risk of falling into communist Cuba's hands.
Angola.
Somewhat. I guess it's not that different from other places that are supposed to be less civilized. I try not to think about it any longer. Don't you have that in your country?
Yes. People in Eritrea disappear or are found dead for political reasons. But we only have one party. Nobody talks about it. You have to believe you imagine knowing someone who is no longer there.
Sounds harsh. Maybe indulging in hyperbole.
Oppression creates imaginary realities that cannot be exaggerated, sir.
One-party rule, huh? Maybe that's Eritrea's luck. All countries should have one party, as long as it's the right party.
How would you know it's the right party?
Don't confuse me. Hey, are you getting comfortable over there? Do you really want to start this conversation? I don't want to stay here any longer than I have to.
Please, sir, just a little bit. This you say is new to me. I want to know more about this. You are talking about two different ways of doing things in the United States, politically.
Yes, that's it. We are a kind of citizen when we live in Puerto Rico, and people who live in the mainland are a different kind of citizen.
How can this be?
Let me give you a short history lesson. Puerto Rico was a right-out, unequivocal colony of the United States from 1898 to 1952, including during the Cold War. You know the Cold War, don't you?
Yes, sir, I do know about it.
The Soviets started calling the United States an imperial power with colonies. That meant Puerto Rico mostly. Then the United States made it a common vote, consent to Puerto Rican voting. That means Puerto Ricans who live in Puerto Rico cannot vote for president because they don't pay federal income taxes. But if they move to the mainland, they can vote. Puerto Rico has a representative in the United States Congress, someone with a voice, but no vote, which means it's pretty much useless. Puerto Ricans have had the United States citizenship since 1917, and the United States needed a cannon fodder for World War I.
The Italians did that to Eritreans during their war to conquer Libya back in the 1920s. Italians called these conscripts the Askari. Those troops are Habesha, Eritreans, and Ethiopians. They had to fight Italy's war for them. They never made our people citizens of Italy.
I suppose Puerto Ricans should be grateful for that. There was nothing anyone in Puerto Rico was asking for. No questions asked, no tests to pass. You're born in Puerto Rico, you're a citizen. Poof, like magic. It was a Harry Potter citizenship. Puerto Ricans will still serve in the United States Armed Forces and can travel between the mainland and the island. No passport needed. Many Puerto Ricans speak English, some do not. And everyone speaks Spanish. Some people still want full statehood, others want it to remain as is, with a few decorative changes. That's pretty much it.
Huh. I see. Eritrea has not been a colony since 1952 either.
That's an interesting coincidence. In 1952, Puerto Rico became a glorified colony, a free associated state. They call it in Spanish without recognizing the oxymoron.
Really? But we became a federation with Ethiopia by a resolution of the United Nations. Because the four powers wanted it that way. France, Great Britain, Soviet Russia, and the United States.
You are still federated. I didn't think you were.
In the late 1950s, Ethiopia's emperor, Haile Selassie, decided to wipe his rear end with the Constitution of the Federation and annexed Eritrea instead. Then we had a civil war that lasted 30 years before we gained our independence.
No one in Puerto Rico was interested in civil wars.
No one objected to it not being free and independent instead of free and associated.
Only the delusional. In 1950, a misguided pair of Puerto Rican nationalists tried to kill President Truman. 4 years later, 4 other nuts opened fire in the United States Capitol. Only a negligible minority of Puerto Ricans want complete independence. All 3.5 million Puerto Ricans scream and holler and march out against perceived abuses by the United States and the local party du jour. When it comes right down to it, they turn the protests into carnivals, set up food vendor kiosks, sing Despacito, and take whatever is shoved down their throats. Bread and circus, just like Roman despots of old, the circus preceding the bread. That's why the United States doesn't take them seriously. All they get is more federal money to pacify the screaming babies, a Burger King on every corner, and Walmart for every 10 people. When things get bad in the island, Those United States citizens born a JetBlue airplane and landed in Florida. There are more Puerto Ricans living in the mainland than in Puerto Rico.
You seem to have done well.
I attended school here since the 1960s. I'm a retired computer scientist, not a disabled janitor on a social security supplement. Puerto Ricans who came here in the 40s and 50s were mostly unskilled peasants who came in to work in the fields and the factories. The ones migrating now are educated for the most part, although you still get your standard slummers and freeloaders as well. And they all dance to Despacito, reggaeton, and bachata. Some even rap, too. You heard of Daddy Yankee?
No, sir.
Well, you haven't missed much. Now can we leave?
Yes, darling. Well, I am on break. That is why I have not responded. I will call you back as soon as I am done. Thank you.
You should realize that by keeping me here, you must be missing a lot of fares.
I feel a moral obligation to do this. I will make up the loss with extra working hours. We still have not talked about what we need to, Mr. Alberti.
Jesus, Harold, Christ on a cross. Will you get on with it then? Oh, I guess I better sit down again.
Mr. Alberti, as you say, you can always return to your country or colony. Which is it?
Island. An island. An island sitting in the middle of an ocean. And it's a big ocean. A really, really big ocean. An island surrounded by water.
Well, not all islands.
Donald Trump felt he had to explain. He was trying to come up with an excuse for not coming to the rescue of Puerto Rico in the wake of a horrible hurricane. I'm just paraphrasing his lucid perception, inspired by second-grade social studies classes.
I to understand you are not a Republican.
No. I did not say that, nor are you to infer that. I am a Republican. I simply do not believe that the president represents what the Republican Party stands for.
Oh,
What is that, oh, for?
I don't know many people of color who are members of that party.
You yourself said I am not a color.
That is not what I meant. People of color, that is not just the color of the skin, you see.
You people are full of stereotypes.
You people. Is that like you Americans?
Touche.
What makes the Republican Party appealing to you, if I may ask?
From its beginnings, it has stood for personal freedom, for limited government, for personal responsibility. That's what I like about it. The more recent path, it's also been the party of compassionate conservatives.
Oh,
You keep emitting these pregnant odes. For a cab driver, you sure have veiled opinions that require depth of knowledge.
I was not always a cab driver, sir.
Oh,
I finished superior studies with highest honors, sir. I was briefly a university student of civil engineering in Eritrea before I came here.
why did you quit?
In my country, we do not necessarily choose our occupation. It doesn't matter what we study. The government decides what we will work in. If they need teachers, there go engineers. If they need agricultural technicians, there go teachers. If they need bureaucrats, there go artists. If you become an artist, you have to go through census before you paint or sing or publish what you write.
Sounds like the theater of the absurd.
With consequences that jump off the stage. Then the comedy turns into a tragedy.
So you came here to avoid being a farmer or a teacher, and ended up driving a cab?
So it would seem. It was not that simple.
The time is 8:12 p.m.
Gabriel, this is all very interesting, but I am not listening to it voluntarily. Please, take me home.
We have not talked about.
Yes, so you keep saying. You say it over and over again. But we're still here. I remind you that someone will be looking for me. You are cruising for a truckload of trouble. Listen, I won't cause any problems for you if you just take me home. I know you don't intend to harm me, but I got your message already. You're pissed because I complained. If you have something else to say, please get on with it and let's get out of here.
Very well, Mr. Alberti. Let me tell you how you ended up in the United States.
I do not want to hear your life story.
I have to tell you. It's the reason I brought you here. to explain the impact of your letter.
I'm all ears.
Thank you. When I was at the university studying engineering, I realized it was a waste of my time. At the end of all that hard work and spending my parents' little money, I probably would end up in the country managing a chicken farm. I would be conscripted into what the government in Eritrea calls the national service. It's actually the army. You are forced to work for almost nothing. It's supposed to last for 18 months, but the government can keep you in there as long as they want. The government grants construction and mining contracts to foreign companies from Canada and Great Britain and other countries, and forces these companies to hire subcontractors selected by the government. Those subcontractors use slave labor that the government gives them from conscripts, from the so-called army.
I'm sure you get some benefits.
That is not the army you know about here, sir.
And that's what your people fought a war of independence for? To end up enslaved by their own people?
That is not how it was supposed to be.
Ain't that the way it's always gone in those peculiar republics? I mean,
Merciless despots took over. Crush the right of the people to elect their government. Speaking ill of the government gets you arrested. You never know what law you are breaking when you open your mouth. My brother was arrested for carrying forbidden literature in a school bag.
forbidden literature. X-rated magazines? That got you sent to prison in Spain under Franco, too.
In Eritrea, there is no freedom of expression, or the press, or religion. The government owns all communication media. Forbidden anything is whatever some government officer's arbitrary judgment decides is forbidden. Then you get sent to prison. A prison within a prison to be flogged and further deprived of the last shred of freedom and humanity.
Oh,
Is this your turn at equipment, Old?
I didn't know.
My brother was taken to one of those underground prisons. Our family could not find out where. Asking about a disappeared relative can land someone in prison also. Knowing that there is a prison where you can go can also get you arrested. See, those prisons don't exist, you see. When I left Eritrea, I had no idea where my brother was, whether he was dead or alive. In one of those imaginary prisons, where prisoners are imaginarily beaten and tortured, where they are given water once a week, where they urinate and defecate where they sleep, all huddled into a cramped space. Those cesspools were only there behind to remain free to think of the hopelessness of something different, something that will recognize them as children of God above beasts of burden and dirt.
Well, at least you didn't end up there.
My other two brothers and one of my sisters decided to play it safe. There I went to the national service.
But you flew out.
That is interesting.
What?
The words you choose. That you would assume everyone who leaves his place of origin gets on a jet plane and ends up here. It is what people in this country take for granted. From their experience, of course. Except the Cubans. They float their way out, and Mexicans, they swim and crawl.
All right, then. Did you get on a boat? I see all those refugees crossing from northern Africa to Italy and Spain. Were you one of those people?
I did not come by sea, no. I did something just as dangerous as crossing the depths of the Mediterranean and despair without knowing whether you and your two babies will cross over a drawn at sea. Even people who are allowed to leave Eritrea legally often have to go by foot to the place where they will board an airplane or a ship to leave. If they can afford the bribes, that is.
What do you mean, bribes?
Or they call them exit fees, but they are bribes. If the person is coming to America, the United States, the fees are higher. Always it is a relative abroad who is saving the money. Eritrean government officials are convinced that once migrants come to this country, they find gold on the streets and they become instant millionaires. So they can easily afford the fees that officers keep jacking up to see how far they can squeeze the person paying them.
Okay, so how did you get out?
There's no freedom of movement in Eritrea. We could not just go anywhere we wanted. It's like being in a chicken coop physically, emotionally. I was stripped of choices. I'll accept the choice to risk choosing. One day I decided I would cross the border into Ethiopia.
Well, I doubt they have a fence there to keep you from crossing. That must have been easy enough once you got to the border. And from there to Addis Ababa.
No. The whole border is full of Eritrean soldiers who shoot to kill at anyone trying to cross over. The few make it. I was lucky. If I had not been so, it would have been better than living behind the bars of tyranny.
Oh, Christ.
And I made it to a refugee camp. That is a kind description for another imprisonment, without knowing how long that will last. I went from the despair of enslavement to the agony of uncertainty. Every waking moment in a refugee camp is a kind of mental torture. When I'm tied down, externally, my souls were in shackles. Time there passes, but it does not take you with it. Instead, it digs a hole for you to fall into. Can't feed you what is available. Surely not restaurant fare. But it challenges the imagination. I made myself believe it was my mama's food. Mama's injera soaked in shigi and bebere. Instead of warm water under the blazing heat, I made myself believe it was my mama's cold suwa I was drinking.
How long were you there?
2 years. But like 20. If I had gone to a refugee camp in Sudan, I would have been even worse off. There, the courts randomly repatriate refugees back to Eritrea on a whim. We think the refugee is just evading national service in Eritrea. They will hold that over the refugee's head. ISIS Afwerki's government forces those who try to leave into labor camps. Those are also imaginary. Well, they are supposedly made up by the alleged enemies of the benevolent justice system of ISIS Afwerki. Besides, even if you are trying to leave legally when relatives abroad pay what is really a ransom, any male between 5 and 50 years old is forbidden from leaving. The young boys are sent to army training camps for their national service.
Gabriel, I know this is your time to go down your infernal memory lane, but
Please, sir, you are reducing it. Yet trivializing my experiences.
no. I'm just trying to get you to hurry up and get to the point so I can go home.
Fine, sir. This is what happened. An international refugee organization got me out of there into the United States.
2 relatives here?
I have no relatives here. I was turned over to a service to help me resettle with other Eritreans.
Fortunately for you, you spoke English, right?
Not a word. I only spoke Korean. That's our official language. I also knew Amharic, but I didn't like to speak it. Our language has a non-Western alphabet. I had to learn the Western alphabet too.
How long did it take?
Within 6 months, I could make myself understood and understand when people spoke slowly. I worked in a food and grocery store in Raleigh, in North Carolina. I was a stock boy in the produce department. At night, I studied English. I read British literature and some American authors.
How about the driving? Did you learn that back in Eritrea?
Well, no, sir, I learned that in North Carolina also.
I must say, you sound like a very resourceful and bright man.
I could have been a bright engineer instead of a smart cabbie.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. You did all right. And now you have a job. You work your own hours. You probably take the weekend off, have a nice, safe place to live.
As I pointed out, you are looking at my apartment here, sir. This room. I don't know how much longer I will be able to stay here. I don't take time off, sir. I work 7 days a week, as many hours as I can.
Why are you killing yourself?
The cab company leases us the van. $375 a week. We pay for gas, too, and car insurance. We get to keep what we make. The company only does scheduled maintenance on the vehicle. Time I take off, sir, is money I do not earn. I have to help my wife.
Is she here too? Not in the same storeroom, I hope.
No. I'm trying to bring her here. I need to hire a lawyer, sir. But that costs money. I already got my sister out of Eritrea. She is in Germany.
No, that's something. How could she get out if the government doesn't allow it?
She did not cross the border, so I had to pay bribes. I paid $6,000 to get her out.
You make good money if you can afford that.
Sir, it took me 3.5 years of working 18-hour shifts and eating only 1 meal a day to save up enough for that. I couldn't send it directly to my family. See, if I ever return to Eritrea, I will be in prison for leaving without authorization. I don't want to get my family in trouble. The catchers might come around trying to get them to say whether I have come into my country illegally again.
See? So being a second-class American citizen is not as bad as you think. At least Puerto Ricans can go anywhere with their American passport.
I suspect there's a price to pay for that, sir.
There's a price to pay for everything. Nothing is free in this world, brother.
Yes. You're all right. Some people pay with currency, and others pay with dignity.
What exactly are you implying?
Nothing, sir. It is a general observation.
In this country, everyone has an opportunity if he knows how to look for it and take advantage of what is offered. I came here as a young man to look after myself.
Oh, I suppose you had scholarships or some kind of a student assistance. Most people here seem to.
What? Didn't you back in your country?
There is no such thing as student financial aid in Eritrea.
Well, that sucks. But if you're here illegally, then you can go to school here too.
What am I going to study, sir? I cannot quite do that while I'm driving.
Well, you do have a point.
I like that idea of personal responsibility you say Republicans have. You do not think Democrats have it?
No, they do not. They just want the government to pay for people without motivation, without initiative, to keep them dependent forever, generation after generation. It's the reason why other Puerto Ricans can't get ahead. Latinos, Democrats just love them. Bill Clinton and Barack Obama sure did. You know, when they used to come here in droves in the 1960s, they knew they'd get free housing, free food, free health care, no responsibility. They saw welfare as something that was due them. They raised their children in that mentality. That just continues a cycle of dependence and a lack of self-respect.
I am sure some people actually needed it, sir.
They needed it because they were uneducated. In Puerto Rico, they were mostly some people, laborers and peasants. They should have done like the Cubans. Now, there you have people like you. The Cubans came in the 1950s. They came with nothing and rebuilt their lives. Now, they own Miami. Puerto Ricans, they own the South Bronx.
I am sorry, sir, but you are describing two different situations.
What do you know about it?
This country was built on migrants from all kinds of places, sir. People who are doing well in their country feel no need to leave it. No one civilization's motivation for coming here is like any others. It would be unfair to put them all in the same category. I may not know much about Puerto Rico, but I have studied American history.
When? While driving?
Whenever I can. Sometimes while I'm waiting for a call from the dispatcher, sometimes before I go to sleep. See, the Cubans came here with nothing, but the United States was happy to give them all sorts of help to make the communists look bad. You know, those people seem to be mostly professionals who feared the revolution and losing what they had there. From what you have said, Puerto Ricans came with nothing and had access to the same nothing to improve their lot and get out of poverty.
When you work for something, when you strive to improve, you get places. Look at you. You're an example.
I had few handouts, but I did get a lot of help, sir. And I had no choice. I could not go back anywhere. I had to make it here or hang myself. Cubans couldn't return either. Their circumstances were different. I cannot believe that all Puerto Ricans who came here, other than you, are lazy oafs. Besides, they can always return to their island and keep their American citizenship. If I am not here, I am a man without a country, a true pariah. Europe is shutting its doors to us. I cannot return to a refugee camp, sir. You Americans, people in this country think we come here to live off them. How easy do they think it is to uproot ourselves from the land we know, the same way their own predecessors did, to turn our backs and walk away from the only families we have known, to go halfway across the world to face the unknown, to experience distrust, discrimination, intolerance, and fear. they want to live like human beings. Right now, this is the only chance for most of us. Eritreans, Guatemalans, Hondurans, Kenyans, Mexicans, Myanmars, Nigerians, Salvadorians, Somalis, Syrians, Ugandans, Yemenis. We are all in the same ark, hoping for an olive branch instead of a kick that was put us back on flooded land without a life jacket. My people have a saying. What an old man sees while sitting, a young man cannot see standing.
I have no idea what that has got to do with anything.
Only the young come here, sir. You do not see 60-year-olds washing ashore on your coasts, not even from Cuba. See, our youth keeps us from thinking of the obstacles and the dangers. We only see what there might be behind the wall of our torment. Tomorrow is a pregnant woman. That's another one of our sayings. You don't know what it will give birth to. I guess we are young and foolish in our hope. But that same experience that keeps the old man from doing anything that his experience tells him will blow up in his face. See, that ignorance is what leads us to think we have to try to reach something better or perish in the attempt. Dreamers become aware of their dream when someone tries to turn it into a nightmare. See, I am here holding on to my dream. See, I'm fending off those who want to make me wake up in the midst of the fright they are trying to push me into.
What does all this have to do with my letter? I'm still waiting. We have wasted time talking about it.
It has everything to do with your letter, son. I am telling you what my life is like, what I have gone through to get where I am. Maybe if I had been an American citizen, I would have had scholarships and student loans and qualified for food stamps and housing assistance. And maybe I would not have bothered to work hard for anything. I don't know. I don't think so. It is not in my nature. In spite of what your government says about immigrants.
Mine. Our government does not say that about immigrants. Our president does.
Aren't you Republican?
Yes, but I didn't vote for him.
Did you vote for the opposition?
How could I? I couldn't support what she represented. I didn't vote for president.
Then you voted for him anyway.
There you go with your faulty reasoning again.
No, sir. You had no other candidate for your party. If you did not vote for any of the other candidates, it was one less vote for someone else. You helped elect him. I do not come from a democracy, but I do understand the mechanism of the democratic electoral system.
You don't seem to. If I voted for none, what difference did it make?
Ah, sir. But as Shakespeare would say, therein lies the rub. You could have. Mathematically, you canceled them all out. Morally, you voted for him.
You make no sense. Maybe your logic gets lost in translation. Let's get on with it. You were getting to the letter.
You referred to me as a dishonest person in that letter.
I said no such thing.
You do not need to move your lips or draw graphic symbols on a sheet of paper to hurl insults, sir. Do you want me to read again? You said...
Oh, God, not again. Fine, I said you were dishonest. You overcharged me for the
I
ride.
charged you what the meter said.
It was $6 more than I usually pay for the same distance.
I understand that. Perhaps I have no excuse for that, so I apologize. I want you to know I would not have driven away with your walker in the trunk. If you had refused to pay the whole amount, I probably would have just taken the money and gone off after popping the trunk for you. I'm not that cruel. And maybe I would have been the one who never would have picked you up again. As I understood it that night, I was right in charging you what the meter said. You were quite unreasonable as well. Don't you remember?
I don't recall.
See, in your letter you sound very rational, composed and very clear-headed. It almost sounds like a newspaper item, so impartial. You yelled at me when you realized I was going in the wrong direction. When we were waiting for traffic to move, you kept muttering to yourself. God damn it. Look at this fucking traffic. Then the GPS corrected itself, and you yelled, "Turn that fucking shit off! It's pissing me off, god damn it!" I'm human too, Mr. Alberti. See, I let your attitude get the best of me.
Then I was right, wasn't I? You knew you were wrong, and you still charged me the $14.
Here, Mr. Alberti.
Gabriel reaches for Orlando's hand and places the bills in.
That's $15. Take the extra dollar as interest.
Orlando crumbles the dollar bills in his hand into a ball and tosses it toward a corner.
I don't need your fucking money. I was making a point with my letter and making sure you would not benefit from my money again. Do you think after that sob migrant story of wolf packs fighting at your butt that you just fed me, I'm going to feel comfortable taking your money?
Please, Mr. Alberti, I'm trying to make up for my lapse of judgment. I am begging you to take the money.
Cabral holds out the ball of bills for Orlando to take. Orlando does not budge.
I told you before about my belief in personal responsibility. You need to take responsibility for what you did. You have to start by admitting you were wrong and I was right. Without ifs or buts. Don't apologize if you were wrong. Apologize because you were. For God's sakes.
Mr. Alberti, you married?
What the hell does that have to do with anything?
Are you?
I'm divorced.
Do you have children?
2. Why does that matter?
I am married. I have not seen my wife in 7 years. We have no children. I crossed the border into Ethiopia where we had only been married for 3 months. I thought that if I got to the other side, things would move along quickly and I would be able to get her out of there also. I was naive, ignorant. It did not happen that way. I had went to my sister out because she was going to Europe. And my wife would not have been able to come here, and I would not have been able to travel to Europe for my refugee status. It would have been the same as leaving her in Eritrea. Worse if she had to go to another refugee camp. All I have of her are these letters, see? These letters. And his photograph. All I have of my married life. You don't need to lecture me on personal responsibility. My sense of personal responsibility is what drives me to despair. It consumes me. I cannot fulfill my obligation as quickly as I wish I could, because my job takes all of my time, even if it does not pay me what I need as fast as I wish. I could be out there trafficking drugs or selling counterfeit merchandise, but I would be cheating myself in my sense of pride, my honesty. Yes, honesty. I know many among you believe that falsehood of us as rapists and thieves and drug dealers and murderers. But there was a lot of that going on here before any of us arrived. Your prisons are full of murderers and rapists with the Americans shit as you should. Immigrants like me do not have a monopoly of mental defects and antisocial behavior. Honesty, fairness, the thing Americans call a level playing field, we all want that. I'm sure you have instilled those same ideas in your children.
You bet I have. My sons and I share those values.
Then why can you not understand what I am trying to do? Would you refuse your son's attempt to right a wrong they acknowledge it and want to redress, sir? To seek an explanation and give one of their own?
I don't see the similarity. My one son lives in Texas. He's a police officer there. I have not an iota of doubt that he follows what he learned at home. My other son lives with me. He's a certified public accountant. He's a Republican like me, a log cabin Republican.
A log cabin Republican? Log cabin? Like pancake syrup? What is that?
They're affiliated to the Republican Party.
What is different about them? Is that somehow what they used to call around here as separate but equal?
They aren't really different. They believe in the same concepts of personal responsibility and limited government, and individual freedom.
Then why do they need a special name?
It's a sort of club within the Republican Party. They are gay Republicans.
They are what?
Gay. You know what that is, don't you?
When I started learning English, I thought that meant happy, but not any longer. But does that not mean homosexual?
Yes. Yes, it does. He's very proud of who he is, and so am I. Proud of who he is.
Oh,
Gabriel walks away from Orlando, puts his money on the makeshift table, and then wipes the palms of his hands against his sides.
Oh, what?
such people are not recognized in my country.
I don't know that it's a matter of recognition. They are. They exist. Period.
In our country, dogs are held in higher esteem than those people. Even the Kunama people are treated better. Kunama are the lowest caste in our society, nomadic farmers that the government kicks off their land and give it to the large corporations. Those guys are like Abyssinian grass-rats no one wants near. Grenia doesn't even have a word for them. We use an Arabic word for such people. Luti. Infanti and Amharic. That's the language of Ethiopia.
Well, it's different in this country.
Everyone agrees with that appreciation from what I have seen.
It's much different from the way it used to be. Things have changed.
Oh, and the Republicans accept them. I thought that was what Democrats did.
Some people might feel different about them, but not most. Our party is a party of inclusion.
Oh, I see. Your party only has one black senator in the United States Congress.
Change cannot come all at once. Attitudes take time to change.
Yes, I think so. Since 1865, they have been changing slowly. Pretty slowly, I think.
Considering where you come from, and what you people treat, how you treat other people, I would say you've come a long way.
Do people in Puerto Rico also accept the gays like that?
No, it's a different culture.
Have the United States not occupied the island since 1898, you said?
It's a commonwealth, a colony by the express consent of the majority of the colonials. It's not an occupied land. They have a civilian elected governor, not a military. Yes, the United States has been in Puerto Rico since the Spanish-American War, since 1898.
You're learning a lot. I should be paying you for this educational session.
Are you mocking me?
No, sir. I truly am learning a lot of things I did not know before tonight. Hello? Oh, yes, I am on break. I will let you know when I am back on duty. Oh, yes, we had to take a detour. He is fine. You can call his son back and tell him he is fine and taken care of well. Though it was an unscheduled stop, but I will have him there shortly. Oh, yes, he turned his cell phone on. I will let him know his son called for him. Okay.
I told you someone would be calling. It's unusual for me to be gone like this, especially at night. You need to take me home or you're going to get into more trouble than you suspect.
We are almost done, Mr. Alberti.
Orlando stands up and raises his cane, lunges forward, and tries to hit Gabriel with it.
Take me home, you son of a bitch! Give me back my phone, you bastard!
Please, Mr. Alberti, there is no need for violence.
Give me back my cane!
If you promise not to use it to hurt me again.
After a brief silence, Gabriel hands back the cane. Once it reaches Orlando's hand, he pulls it so hard, he pokes himself in the face with the handle.
Damn it! I'm tired of your game. First, all the boo-hooing and the who shot John bullshit about your sad life in Eritrea, your fortitude, your righteousness, your self-congratulatory tale of achievement in the United States, then casting aspersions on my son.
I never said anything about your son, sir. I just said that his kind is not accepted in my society.
You have no right to denigrate my abnormal son as if you were a degenerate just because he's queer.
I never used those words, sir. I was only explaining how my culture views people like him. I was stating the fact that I did not think the political party to which you belong would accept him as he is, and you—
Shut the fuck up! Worthless mongrel! You know, Trump is right. You are all a bunch of ungrateful immigrants from shithole countries. You stand here in judgment of me, of my son, of my adopted culture, as if you had a right. Who the hell are you? You people are like zeros to the left of the decimal point. You are here for notation purposes. But you're worth nothing, nothing.
You're wrong, sir. I am a human being. I apologize for what I have done, thinking there was a way to lead you to see how your letter affected me. I have been wrong. I have acted wrong.
Then get me the fuck out of this disgusting hole and drive me home, you freaking terrorist!
Terrorist. No, sir, on that account you are very wrong. People who belong to my religion are not terrorists.
What does religion have to do with it?
Everything, sir. Everything. I am a Christian. I am a Christian Orthodox. We are not terrorists, sir. We are the victims of terrorism. We are not the perpetrators.
You've kidnapped me. That makes you a terrorist in my book. The FBI's, too.
You only have one more thing to add, Mr. Alberti. We will then be on our way to your house. Please, sit down. This won't take long. You know all of those things you have said about this country? All the principles you believe in that makes you proud to be a Republican? All of those ideas that American culture celebrates and champions? Those are the same I aspire to. We were always in awe of America, sir. We pronounced the words United States. It was like, how would you call it? Not abracadabra, or, oh yes, it conjured a magic enchantment, something that spoke of the unreachable. It seemed like a fantasy that none of us would ever get to enjoy. True thrill. It was, I know there are inequalities in this country, but I have faith in this country's ability to strive to become something better than it has been.
Oh, fuck. No more of this shit.
Please, let me finish. I need to finish, please. The rest of this world doesn't have that drive. Maybe it does, and it just lacks the means to achieve it. Or it could be that the rest of the world judges success in life by other standards, or maybe other factors beyond our control crush their aspirations. I don't have another chance any longer to be anything more than what I am right now. I have to hold on tight to it until I no longer need to work myself to the bone, or until I die trying. I have much to lose. My wife, the possibility of a family, of having children who can grow up in a country that affords them the opportunities I have been denied. I am on probation with the cab company because of the letter you wrote. Miriam, and heaven forbid, if anybody should find fault with my service, I could lose my job, sir.
You should have thought of that when you scammed me of the $6 you overcharged me.
I do not know what else I can do to apologize for that. I am truly sorry, sir. If you want me to compensate you for that, here.
Gabriel picks up the money again and puts it back in Orlando's hand.
Please, please. How is this? I can give you 3, maybe 4 free rides wherever you wish to go. It's my way to make up for what I did. I just ask for.
What exactly do you want me to do?
Write the company manager again and tell him you overreacted with.
You want? So that's what this is all about?
Yes, sir. That was my only intention, to get you to call the manager or write him to withdraw your complaint.
You want me to lie? What I said was true. Now I would have to say I was hysterical and exaggerated.
Sir, I am 3 months away from qualifying for citizenship in the United States.
So,
If I lose my driving job, I will not meet the very basic requirements for citizenship. Oh, it would be very difficult for me to find another driving job if I get a bad reference from my current employer. The other job I get would probably pay a lot less than what I can make now if I drive on a couple of hours worth of sleep. I know you have never experienced this torment, sir. You have your Puerto Rican citizenship, or the American version of a citizenship for you. See, you can visit your relatives back then. You don't run the risk of life imprisonment if you step on your island soil again. Even your son can travel anywhere and work in this country without people casting stones at him like a mangy dog and calling him dirty names because he will not marry a woman. He can even marry another man if he wishes. You can travel anywhere you want in this country without crossing checkpoints or being harassed or threatened. In this country, even cats and dogs are better protected by laws than we are in Eritrea. Try to put yourself in my place, sir. I have waited almost 5 years for the chance at a better life, a life of freedom. All I need to secure that right now is your phone call or your letter to the company manager.
Gabriel falls to his knees, joins his hands as in prayer, and rests his arms on Orlando's thighs.
Please, Mr. Alberti, please. I am a beggar at your feet.
okay. Okay. I will write the letter. Maybe better yet, I will give him a call. I'm not made of stone, bro. This was not the best way to do this. I guess I can understand your problem here. I'm not that heartless. What's the guy's name?
George Clyde. That's his name, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I do not know what to say.
It's police cars. I told you they'd be coming for me.
Oh, no, wait.
Gabriel takes his hands to his head, as if trying to think and pacing frantically.
Just let me go on to explain. You stay here.
Are you insane? Once they see a brown-skinned guy who probably has a white man in here doing God knows what to do, how nice do you think they're going to be? I do not want to be responsible for what might happen to you if I can clear this up before it gets out of hand. Let me go out first.
Orlando walks toward the door, but Gabriel holds him back.
No. I am responsible for this. I will prove that to you, that I too believe in personal responsibility. Let me take care of this.
You're mad. Didn't you read the newspapers? Don't you know? Let me go out first. I'll explain. It's all been a misunderstanding.
Gabriel holds him back with one arm and puts up the hand in which he holds the cell phone.
I said I would take care of business now, but you have put up with me for long enough. Let me do this for you. I will take care of it.
Gabriel Zaire, we know you are inside. We know you have Mr. Alberti there with you. Gabriel Zaire, we know you are a foreign national from Africa. We do not want this to turn into something serious, okay? Gabriel? Gabriel, come out now with your hands up.
Let me speak to them, Gabriel. Let me go out.
You heard them, sir. They want me. Stand back. I will go out.
Gabriel, when I count to 3, you better walk out. 1.
Gabriel opens the door, his hands up, the cell phone in one hand.
Watch out! He's got a gun! He's got a gun! Drop the gun now!
Sir, it is not a gun. It is a...
Is he down? Is he down?
Yep, he's down. He's down. All clear.
Orlando raises his hand to his mouth and keeps it there until lights out and curtain falls.